We all have our own reading habits, and the amount of reading we do in any given month changes all the time. After all, sometimes life gets in the way or other things become a priority for a short while. But even when I have the time, like right now, I'm struggling to focus or pay attention while reading. Maybe you feel the same. You'll sit down to read with all the right intentions, but something always distracts you, or your brain just can't get into the book. I don't know about you, but I kind of miss the days where I've been fully enveloped in a book, where I can read for hours on end and not realize how much time has passed. That kind of level of reading enjoyment is something I would really like to get back, and that's the goal for this video, to see if I can do just that. So are you ready to come along for the ride? Because you never know, you might gather some tips and improvements to your reading routine along the way. Okay, I'm a big believer in getting to the root cause of a thing to fix it, and in this case, me not being able to focus on reading, I believe, is because of the distractions I'm having in the room while I'm reading. So let's go through my reading setup as it exists right now and play a little game of spot the distraction. My main reading spot is in the living room. My book is already on the coffee table, ready to go. So before I even pick up the book, I'll typically light a candle or wax burner to make it a little more cozy. We could perhaps call this maybe a distraction, but I like to think of it as atmosphere. I'll then decide if I want music on in the background, or I'll put a Twitch streamer on and turn them down. This means I grab my phone. Definitely distraction number one, because if I have my phone out, I'm probably going to check Instagram or my emails or something. Once I have my background noise of choice going, in this case a streamer, I can get to it. But by this point, 15 to even 30 minutes have passed. Not good. Then when I finally start reading, my mind will flick every now and then, either to the streamer, even if they're turned down, to the music if it changes too much, to my phone if it's visible, or to some useless thought I need to deal with. A lot to unpick, right? In this case, the distractions are probably pretty clear. It's either whatever I have on in the background, so in my case, the streamer or music, my phone and the websites or apps within it, including the visible presence of the phone, and my brain. Fun! For you, the distractions you have while reading may be slightly different, so let's break down each of these one by one, starting with the stuff we have on in the background. Now, because I can't actually talk to you while I'm doing this experiment, which is a shame to be honest, I'm going to do the next best thing, and I'm going to ask you guys on YouTube, Instagram, and my Discord community what you have on in the background while you're reading, and if you do have something on in the background, why, and if you don't, why not? Okay, it's a few days later and the results of these questions were honestly pretty fascinating. It's clear there are two camps. People who want no noise at all because it's distracting, and people who find background noise necessary to help them focus. For the first camp, the answer is obvious. They need absolute quiet. So any kind of distraction is just that, distracting. But for the second camp, they seem to use something in the background to cover up or cancel out the distraction they definitely don't want. This is usually lyric-free music like classical, a curated playlist, or a show or film they've already seen. I annoyingly feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. Music is sometimes useful as a kind of white noise to cancel out the cars on the road or some weird house sounds. The same goes for having like a streamer on in the background. I find it weirdly comforting knowing that somebody else is there live and at the same time as me, and if I turn them way down, then the sound of their voice also acts as a kind of white noise to cancel out other noises. But not all the time. Sometimes I find both of those things distracting too, like I can't focus because I'm so distracted by either the streamer in the background or the music if it changes ever so slightly. So what do I do in this situation? Do I just take each session as it comes? I'm not sure. So because I'm not sure, let's move on to the next one because this is a big one: our phones. A study at the University of Texas found that our phones can sap our attention even when we're not using them. They're on silent or they're out of sight altogether. In fact, it says that your cognitive capacity is significantly reduced even if your phone is turned off but within reach. In the study, they found your conscious mind isn't thinking about your smartphone, but that process, the process of requiring yourself to not think about something, uses up some of your limited cognitive resources. It's a brain drain. Of course, this isn't the only study. There are hundreds of similar ones, all saying the same thing: our phones are distracting. So even if you don't feel like it's a big thing in terms of your reading focus, it is a thing. And I don't know about you, but if I can see my phone while I'm reading, my eye is drawn to it whether I like it or not. It's like my brain is betraying me. I don't want to look at my phone, but I feel that compulsive need to do it. And now I realize that even when my phone is out of sight, I'll still feel that compulsive need to reach for it anyway. Which actually causes a problem because I take notes while reading on my phone for reviews. So what's the solution here? Do I take notes on a piece of paper and then translate them into digital notes later? It's a pain, but I might have to give it a go for the sake of a better reading experience. Social media and apps on your phone in general are designed to be easy to focus on and give you immediate rewards. So if I want to focus on reading and not get distracted by my phone because it's easier to focus on, I need to keep it as far away from me while I'm reading as possible. Okay, so far I'm going to be more conscious about what I have on in the background while I'm reading and do that on a case-by-case basis. And then in terms of my phone, I'm going to try and keep that as far away from me as I possibly can, which leaves one more thing: my brain. It would be easy for me to say that technology or our phones were the reason why we can't focus on reading like we used to, but it's simply not the case. A lack of focus while reading could be due to a huge variety of factors. It really could be overuse and addiction to your phone. It could be stress and anxiety in your daily life. It could be unresolved tasks, actual physical distractions including people, a lack of interest in what you're reading, or you could have trained your brain to be used to multitasking, and so focusing on one thing alone is that much harder. Honestly, this video could be hours long if I were to go through each one of these. But the one thing I really want to talk about here is that when we were younger, focusing on reading felt like something we could achieve and was almost natural because we simply didn't have the responsibilities and thoughts we have as adults. We didn't have studying to do or chores to get done. We didn't have work in the morning or life goals we wanted to achieve. Not to mention any mental health problems we may develop as we grow older. The only thing we had to do at the time was read and have fun. So am I being unfair to my adult brain? Am I expecting it to achieve something that's simply not possible or is pretty hard to do? I think the answer to that is probably yes. I don't have the ability to focus like I did as a child because now I have adult responsibilities, which is kind of sad. But at the same time, I now have adult money, which means I can spend it on whatever I like. Upsides and downsides. There is a serious note here though, because if I am struggling to focus on reading due to overwhelm or stress in my daily life, then that's probably something I need to work on or process. Either that or cut myself some slack. But let's revisit the two camps I mentioned earlier. You know, the people who don't want to be distracted at all and the people who need something to cover up distractions. For some, multitasking or creating distractions may enhance the reading experience. Some readers may feel anxious while reading, so playing music or having something on in the background may actually ease some of their tension. Readers with ADHD may also find reading uncomfortable if they force themselves to focus on just that one task. Adding a second sensory input while reading can help them focus on just one of the tasks better, ideally reading, of course. The general goal isn't to distract yourself while reading, but to make conscious choices that make reading easier or more enjoyable. So if you're someone who struggles to focus on reading and you've already tried to reduce the amount of noise in the room as much as possible and it's still not working, you may actually need that additional sensory input to make reading much more comfortable. But let's say you're struggling with focusing and you get distracted easily. You know, the silent camp. The distraction is clearly the problem. If it's not the stuff in the room, then it's your thoughts. While checking your phone every now and then or looking up from the book to pay attention to what's happening on TV may not seem like a big deal, it might be changing your reading experience. Now let me just say that this isn't necessarily a bad thing. If part of your reading experience is to not sacrifice other things that you enjoy in life and have on in the background, then more power to you. But if you want to engage with the story more and feel more engrossed in the book that you're reading and you're getting distracted while doing it, then something needs to be done. Kind of like what I'm trying to achieve in this video. So while I'm not sure if I have a concrete solution from the thoughts and the research within this video, I am going to try a few things out, and I have a good feeling. I guess the takeaway I want to have for this video is there's no such thing as a perfect reading routine, and that's okay. Tweaking and fine-tuning your reading routine is something that happens over time, and if you feel like you can't focus right now, you may be able to in the future with a few changes. But those changes ultimately are up to you, and the changes I need to make are ultimately up to me. If you like this deep dive bookish thoughts video, then you might also like the one down here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.